วัสดีค่ะ and welcome to Morning Thailand. I'm Wanasan Kurahong.
And Anton Nanapat Noy. Good morning, and you're watching Morning Thailand from MCOT World Studio, and it's August 7, 2013. I would call it a D-Day.
Yeah, a D-Day. I know.
Right.
I hope you know by now what we're referring to, because obviously with the whole Internal Security Act in place, this is the D-Day. So watch out. You know where you're not supposed to go, where you should avoid. So please do avoid it. And of course, we're going to give you a little bit more information on it a bit later on in the second half of the show.
Exactly. Now we're starting with some major incident yesterday down there in Trang province. The flight of Nok Air, flight DD7411 has caused some excitement for passengers on board as it skidded off the runway at Trang Airport while preparing for takeoff. The plane, the Boeing 787-800 plane, 800 plane was being sped up for takeoff amid the heavy rains, and then it skidded off the runway. However, no one was injured. All 132 passengers and 6 crews are all safe, and they are moved out of the aircraft, and afterwards passengers were transported to Hat Yai Airport, the Krabi Airport, and Nakhon Si Thammarat Airport to move on to the new flight coming back to Bangkok.
They must have been quite shaken up. Could you imagine being on that plane and then this happened, and then you have to obviously get into another plane. So when they're taking off, you're probably praying the whole time.
Right, sure. And what happened is some tourists have already canceled the trip after they were moved out of the aircraft and decided to stay in Trang province.
Okay, I don't know if that should be good. Say that it's good for economy, but still, I think Nok Air probably was really concerned as well. But then, mind you, the weather was quite bad,
right?
At the time. But
several days of heavy rains, and after the incident, the Trang Airport has already cancelled the flights to and from Trang International Airport and already reopened around 10 p.m. last night. They cited a poor visibility due to the heavy rains, which forced there was another plane coming from Don Mueang Airport to Trang, which is not this one.
Okay, that's suffered.
And it had to circle above the airport for some time before they can make a
safe landing.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. I don't know if you have been experiencing the fact that the flight has been delayed and such. And as a passenger, sometimes you heard another passengers, that the plane got delayed, were complaining about, oh my God, why is it canceled? How could it be delayed? So on and so forth.
It's for your safety.
Exactly. Because the thing is, I would prefer not getting on the plane at all if it's not safe to either taking off or landing.
And during the time of the incident, there were 142 passengers, including tourists, mainly foreign tourists, businessmen, senior police officers from the DSI.
Oh, so reporters, VIPs.
Because they were on a mission to investigate the human trafficking cases down there in Trang province. And moreover, the governor of Kantang municipality of Trang province, Kun Soranon Jirod Montri, who was on board at the time of the incident, and he said that only 5 minutes after the plane left the parking spot, it seemed that the plane had been sped up. So it skidded off the runway.
Yeah, those officials probably shaken up as well, because that's one of the things. It's going to be hard to deal, but it is a good news because no one actually get injured, and it's not as bad as
it could be.
Exactly. Now moving on to another incident that was quite bad, and I have been reporting about this already in terms of the tainted milk powder, or at this point, Fonterra has came out and said that they have found some contamination in terms of a bacteria inside their whey products, which is a protein,
the powder.
The formulas that normally used in various products, especially in the baby milk formula. Now, of course, at this point, Fonterra, which is New Zealand-based company, has came out and requested that various countries, not just in Thailand here, that they imported this particular products too that might have been used in other types of products, especially for babies, to return all of their products here. Now, Fonterra, of course, said that the bacteria that was found could cause botulism, and it was a contaminated whey protein concentrate. Now, it was imported to China, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, as well as Saudi Arabia. However, obviously, at this point, Fonterra said that there's no report of any incident that the children has been suffered or see some kind of sickness due to this just yet. However, as we know, Dumex is the sole, at this point FDA has came out and announced too that Dumex is the sole producer of this particular, that has this particular type of products in it. So if normally your children drink Dumex, make sure that you take a look at the list. We already posted on the website as well, on our Facebook website. There were 5 formulas altogether. There was a certain date that it has been produced. Now, Fonterra said that the contamination occurred as the result of dirty pipes in Waikato plant back in May of 2012. However, the sample turned up a potential bacteria problem in March of this year, and that it took until July the 31st before they know the result of testing that there was certain type of bacteria in it that could cause botulism. And that's why, to take responsibility, they had came out and requested that various countries, various companies that have their products return all these particular products. Now, the FDA also came out and said that for those of you who use these formulas, they say that whey protein, obviously, you have seen people using it for, especially if you want to pump muscle, let's just put it that way. If you're training for, body build and such, sometimes you drink those. They say that it doesn't have as much effect in adults as it does in small children, due to the fact that adults, as well as a little bit, the children that under 1 year old, especially up to 6 months old, those are the targets that should be looked out for, due to the fact that they, in their system, they don't have that much bacteria yet. So that means that this particular bacteria, once it gets into the system, which they say that they grow pretty well in the space without any oxygen. So they say that in the powder itself, it doesn't grow, it stopped growing. So meaning that if it is contaminated, it would not, expand its contamination. However, as soon as the hot water hit it, and they say that no matter how hot it is, it's not going to be able to kill this particular bacteria. So meaning that it would expand a little bit more. So that would create a lot more problem, and that's why if you use this formula to, feed your children, which is under the age of 6 months old, then it runs a big risk of having all these symptoms. So the FDA came out saying that if you have seen the severe symptoms that could develop within 30 days, for example, muscle weakness, paralyzing, as well as inability to raise the head, drooping eyes, diarrhea and such, make sure that within a few days, if you detect this and you know for sure that you're using this type of particular, using Dumex, please take them to the hospital and inform the doctor, because this could be a cause. However, there hasn't been any report at all within Thailand that any children that has been contaminated or that catch any type of disease from this particular Dumex formulas. Now they say that if you want more information, you can call 02-740-3400 or 02-740-3333 for more information. However, I think the best thing to do is keep an eye on your children, your infant babies, and make sure that if you detect a slightest thing, just take them to the hospital. Getting the doctor opinion and such, it doesn't hurt. I know it might causing a little bit of a time and such, but still it's better safe than sorry.
I mean, you know what? Now Russia and China have already banned the imports from Fonterra and other New Zealand products from New Zealand, dairy products from New Zealand, which is creating a lot of risk there.
Right.
Even though there's no reports yet from China and Russia, however, for precaution.
Exactly, and I think Fonterra are trying to do the same thing because they say that there haven't been any report yet, but they taking responsibility and came out and say it. So we gotta accept them for that, like for actually be able to come out and say it. Because they already know that this is going to happen.
When speaking about importing products, especially from New Zealand, they're already expensive. I don't know.
So we expect
maybe because they come with
quality.
bacteria.
Oh goodness me! All right.
Okay,
let's
moving
move
on to some more major troubles here for Bangkokians. You know what? Since Monday, after the ISA has already imposed the road closures and a lot of security measures, including.
And you have seen quite a bit. Because Kun Fai get a chance to pass around the area all the time. So how crazy was it?
5 roads that have been closed during the time of the ISA precautions. I've been working around the area, and it is the normal route that I've used every day, and
now you've seen
a lot of people complained about the traffic congestion since late evening into the night. Some people took several more hours than normal to get home.
And that's quite a lot. When
Not
we
just
say
in
more
the
than
area.
Normal. Exactly. That could.
In
you
other
can
areas of
go
Bangkok
to
as
like
well.
other provinces at that point, right?
And the thing is, what happened is not just commuters that have been affected. Some students whose schools have been located in the area already feel the impact from the ISA measures there. Now the BMA, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, has already ordered 9 schools in the area to close for 3 days, starting today until this Friday, because of the planned rally of the anti-government protesters, even though they're still in the Lumpini Park and under the parking spot, the sporting ground under the expressway, not coming close to the area of the ISA yet. However, as a precaution, because today, as I said, is the D-Day, 9 schools including วัดธรรมาภิรตาราม วัดเบญจมบพิตร วัดจันทสโมสร วัดเทวราชกุญชร วัดสมณานามบริหาร วัดประชาระบือธรรม วัดสวัสดิ์วารีศรีมาราม วัดราชภาติการาม and Sukhothai schools are closed today. Until this Friday, all are in Dusit district, which is one of the 3 districts which have been affected by the ISA measures. Now, the governor of the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, Mom Rajawong Sukhompan Boripat, cited security concerns for the closure of these 9 schools, and he said that the BMA will follow the political rally closely through the closed-circuit television cameras at its control center at the City Hall. There's a security operations command there at the City Hall, which they will use as a main center to assess the situation, to follow, to monitor the planned protest, and also to coordinate with the necessary agencies in case any situation rises up during the time of the political rally. Because the protesters are planning to come into the government house and to the parliament today.
So, well, I think it's a good thing because yesterday, we talked about this a little bit, and we were concerned that whether or not that should be still open. I mean, if you have students
because it's really hard to get in and out of the area.
Yeah. Plus, if there's something happened, then children would be involved as well. Now, moving on to another case, just to end this session here, have been another big lot of drugs that has been confiscated, but this time we get what they call a drug press machine. So the machine that
have been used,
that put the powder together, pumped it into the small pills, and of course distributed. Now, yesterday at about 10 a.m., the Narcotics Suppression Bureau, along with a set of the police, went to Bang Pli district of Samut Prakan province and they were able to they arrested 2 people altogether คุณอนุรักษ์ทองหยอด as well as คุณวิสิตศักดา Now that's the machine that they used to actually press out all the methamphetamine pills. They said that when they found it, there was like a big machine and a small machine, so 2 altogether, and they found 7,420 grams of crystal methamphetamines powder that has not been pressed into pills yet, and as well as methamphetamines powders, about 12 kilograms altogether. The already pressed pills, about 1,940 pills, some plastic bags, about 5,600 bags altogether. So it is a distribution and I guess a factory where this has happened. Now they say that this is expanding from the investigation they have back in April, where they confiscated as well as arrest the drug smuggler in Ratburi province, and the culprit actually told them about the area in Klong Toei community, which is right here in Bangkok, and say that there has been, all these factories going on. So they requested the court orders to go into the house, and at the time they were able to confiscate 300,000 methamphetamine pills that worth about 35 million baht. And that particular house, and as well as the culprit, say that Mr. Ngo, which is like a big boss behind everything, was actually the one that ordered him. And Ngo has been arrested already and went into prison for 12 years. And he came out and doing the same thing because they say that he did it himself so that he doesn't have to go and buy drugs from the Panto Yise or Lieutenant Colonel
No more
Yise.
drug trafficking from the border then.
Exactly. So, they could produce their own. And the sad part is these particular set of pills actually have more of the mixture of crystal methamphetamine pills, which will cause the person who take it to be addicted right away with the first use.
Oh, is that something like that?
Yeah, so it's stronger.
Before.
So at this point, they say that all the culprits claim that they received 300,000 baht each to do this from Ngo. So at this point, the Narcotics Suppression Bureau will investigate more into this particular issue. But as you can see, it's getting more intense, and the fact that they increase the amount of drugs to make sure that the addiction is guaranteed is even scarier.
And I'm pretty sure this kind of machine are being sold in like gray market, black market.
It doesn't look like it's going to be hard to, put together either.
No.
All right, let's take a short break. We'll come back. Of course, we have updates on the ever so famous, the Frog Monk, หลวงปู่เนนคำ or คุณวิรพล as well as a lot more on the southern violence. So please stay tuned.